Make a difference.
Hey viewers, I'm so glad that you joined us today. I know you're going to get a lot out of this program and maybe even be challenged to go and serve somewhere on a foreign mission ground, as our guests have done for so many years. Well, recently, my missionary friends Jonathan and Alicia Farrant responded to a horrible, horrible catastrophe in Guatemala. This was a volcano which caused many lives to be lost. Not a comfortable way to serve, finding and burying bodies, but Jonathan and Alicia have always had hearts for those who have suffered loss. So I'm honored today to reintroduce you to my faithful friends, Jonathan and Alicia, who are here to tell their story again. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us again.
Well, the last time you were here, you talked about Wigs of Hope.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And so what is the update on that? And maybe remind our viewers what that ministry is all about. I point to my hair like I'm any part of that. I'm not. You could be, and you are.
Yes. No, we've had a huge response, and honestly, we've had people from all over the world, really, even here from like New Zealand coming.
Amazing.
And people just donating financially and with hats and different things. And so we've created these little wigs that it's a crocheted hat, and then we attach hair to it, all handmade by myself. And then I have a really good friend of mine who makes the little hats. And so we take those down, and we've had just...
Take those down to where?
To Guatemala and El Salvador.
Okay.
Mainly El Salvador. There's a cancer hospital that we've had a huge open door to work in.
So these are children who have lost their hair, and you give them back a chance to have hair again. And it has to be black and dark and look like Guatemala, El Salvador.
Right.
What, Jonathan?
And, well, my wife, she downplays it a little bit. So let me just say, since the last time we're on the show, she's made over 300 wigs.
Unbelievable.
Her crafting has gotten like so amazing and impactful and powerful. She's learned how to make full wigs.
Wow.
And
with all the hair without the crochet?
yes.
Right. Really?
And it's just been such an impact in El Salvador. We actually had somebody write me. This was probably a year after the last show. After we had visited the hospital, somebody was writing me and saying, my boss wants to meet you. And I was like, oh, that's cool, okay. Let's meet whoever this person is. And so we set up this meeting, and
we're like hurrying and trying to
we
get
got
all
our
ready.
missionary clothes on, and not knowing who we're going to meet, what to expect. And we show up to this meeting.
We're thinking we're having coffee and
yes,
just chatting, right?
We have no idea. So we show up, and there's Secret Service agents. This is in El Salvador.
Okay.
Secret Service agents. And we're like, okay, what's going on?
We're like, oh my gosh.
What did I do?
I should have dressed nicer. What are
And
we
then I
doing
look over,
here?
there's reporters, and what I didn't know is we were about to step into a press conference with the First Lady of El Salvador, who's now the former First Lady of El Salvador.
It was a crazy open door. So
That
how
is
these
amazing.
wigs,
Yes.
what we thought were just touching, one or two children in the hospital, all of a sudden touched an entire nation of El Salvador, because they gave him the floor to speak at the...
I was not prepared. They say be ready in season and out. And I was like literally sitting there next to the First Lady.
My goodness.
And she goes, okay, we want you to go up and share now.
Share.
And the room's full of reporters and all sorts of doctors and people and, politics, and I'm so far removed from that world. But
and
then,
non-Christians probably too, right?
Christians.
So they had me go up, and I'm kind of like deer in headlights for like 2 minutes. She said she was praying for me. Say something.
Oh God, give him something awesome.
And then the Lord just flows.
Good.
He just flows, and I was able to. We got to preach the gospel to the entire nation. And then she gets up after me and says, "I declare once a year that we will have a National Haircutting Day for Wigs of Hope."
Oh my
Isn't
goodness.
that awesome?
That is amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
The work
That's
that
good.
you guys are doing. And then our viewers need to know and be reminded that you have 5 children. Who with 5 children has time to sit down and crochet hats? How do you do that,
Let me
Alicia?
tell you exactly.
I know you don't do it.
I have no idea.
I knew that was coming, because that's hard.
No, I really, honestly, some days I'm like, wow, God, I don't know. I feel like God just kind of gives you the strength, and I have a little extra coffee. My little saying is I need a whole lot of coffee and a whole lot of Jesus to make things happen.
Right,
So.
but you do, and what a cool thing. You all have been married for how many years?
17.
17.
Yeah.
And in those 17 years, have you been on the mission field off and on the whole time? Coming back and forth?
So we're down there for
Like 10 years full time?
full time.
Full time in Guatemala?
In Guatemala.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So you had children there, children born in
All
Guatemala.
of our kids, well, our first one was 2 months when we went, and then we would fly back here and have them and then fly back. Yeah.
And you know, our first 4 years, we talk about it all the time. They were our shaping years because we lived in a village. We had very little running water. Electricity would go out all the time. And
The roof would always fly
the
off
roof,
of our
a little
house
storm would
and-
come, the roof would fly off.
And you're still
Yeah.
smiling. The roof flies off my house. I don't think I smile.
This guy right here, he'd always be like, "Oh, the roof flew off. It's okay." I was like, "No, the roof.
And-
The roof is off the house."
And we had these rats, big, ginormous Jurassic Park rats.
Yeah.
With babies, with
Like
babies
total
in the house.
ratatouille.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. He
and,
brushed the little rat droppings off and lay them in the crib. And
No, you did
no,
not.
I'm not even kidding.
But we
That's
talk now
kinda
and we
life.
say, you know, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today for the
If it
Lord
wasn't-
if
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
for that season and that time
Yeah.
where God took us through the rats. So we're always
Yeah.
like, thank you, God, for the rats.
I know life must be really easy now with just
Yeah,
5 kids and
I was like,
3.
"Thank God there's no rats." Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We can do
Okay,
that.
so the latest thing I want everybody to know about going back to Guatemala, you went after this horrific volcano happened, and
Yeah.
we'll be showing our viewers the video of the smoke and the ash coming in, and just tell us the story. What
Well,
happened?
Our hearts were shattered on June 3rd as that volcano exploded. And I mean, we live a few miles from that volcano, more up the hill. So our
You were
area
safe.
was secured.
Okay.
Right.
But we were broken. And when it all happened, I felt like the Lord was just like, you got to be present. You just have to go and
Show
be there
up.
for the people, you
Yeah.
know?
You didn't know what you're going to be doing. You
Not
just needed
knowing
to
what
show
we're
up.
going to do.
Yes.
Right.
And at the time, we had a team coming in. Edgar Rivera, he's a youth leader in Central Florida, thousands of youth, passionate, radical youth. And he leads these youth, and he was bringing a team down. And he called me a few days before and said, "Hey, Jonathan, what do you think about going down to ground zero and being with the people?" And I'm like, "Well, that's pretty radical. I mean, I kind of like it. Let's do it." And so the Lord put us together, and we went. And I remember I loaded them up in the truck, and we drove. I didn't know how we'd get in because they weren't allowing people unless
Nobody
you lived
was-
there.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
you lived there and you were searching for
Loved
your
ones.
loved ones. And so God opened up the door.
How did he do that?
Well, we had a pastor friend that talked to the government.
Okay.
And the government actually gave us a formal letter saying that
Okay,
we
that
could
you could go
enter
in.
for that day and help. And so we went on a day, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe when I got to ground zero. I mean, I was broken for the first 2 hours. I was just in tears, you know.
Are there people there?
And so
still?
there's
All the
people there.
residents are still wandering around.
And I'm looking around and I see people shoveling, and I'm thinking, what are they doing shoveling? I mean, it's 30, 40 feet deep of lava, mud, ash. And I go up to the first person, I say, "What are you doing?" And this lady looks at me and says, "Well, I got 13 family members down
my
here."
goodness.
And then I go up to another young kid, 18, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I got 8 family members and I can't move on
Until
I know
Yeah.
where were they. I gotta bury them and I need closure."
Right.
And so I'm thinking, well, let's help. So we get shovels and we're starting to dig.
Jonathan.
And I mean, we're there for a few hours and we're getting about this far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Not
rocks.
gonna happen.
and lava. I mean, it's not. So I said, "Lord, what do we do?" And so we just start praying and make a long story short, we find a backhoe. And I show up with a backhoe and these people turn around like,
What? You can drive the backhoe?
No.
well, no. I had a driver.
Okay, you had to
I
drive
had a
her.
driver.
Yeah,
I
we
had a
hired
driver.
it. Yeah, we hired.
No,
Talk
I
about
Backhoe.
man of all trades.
No,
Jonathan can do it all.
He would figure that out if he had to. Yeah.
I would have if I had
I'm
to.
sure.
But I had a guy come and I said, "Come on, let's go help these people." And I mean, within hours, we were finding people's
Oh,
families within
Jonathan.
hours.
Oh, how sad.
And so one of the young boy,
The 18-year-old.
yeah, I mean, just a kid, and he had his 8 family members.
You found
And,
them all?
Yeah, within probably 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours.
And family members being mom, dad, brothers, sisters. This isn't just like aunts and
Right.
uncles. I mean, his
Right.
immediate family.
Right. How is
Yeah.
he doing
Orphan.
this?
So the most
Unbelievable.
powerful story was when we found the last person, which was his mom. And I remember standing up and looking into the hole. And you know my story. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at him and I see myself. You know, I was 18 as well when I lost my dad and my brother.
Yeah.
So there I am looking at him, and I'm just like, man. So I go down, and I put my arm next to him, on him, and I said, God brought us here,
Yeah.
and we're going to be with you as long as we need to be with you.
Right.
And he said, well, let's keep digging. And I'm like, well, we found them all. What else are we digging for? And he said, I got to find my guitar.
Oh.
So his mom had given him a guitar, and he was a worshiper, this kid.
He knew the Lord.
Yeah. He was a worship leader at his church.
Yeah.
And he said, I gotta find my guitar. I gotta find my guitar. And I said, I mean, there's ashes everywhere. I mean, the chances of finding your guitar.
And wouldn't it be ruined if he did
Right.
find it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and somebody from the team said, hey, here's my guitar. They gave him his guitar. And he grabbed the guitar, and the first thing he did was started to worship the Lord.
Wow.
And he drew a crowd, multitude of people. And he's leading now survivors to the Lord. And the glory of God just showed up. And it was so...
With his 8 family members there, right in front of him, dead, and he's leading worship.
Yes. That's how
so
he
supernatural.
gave glory to God.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, God, for helping me find my family members. Not, why, God? Why would you do this? It was, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. And, like, I'm here for a reason, right? What did he tell you after?
Yeah, I mean, he's, you know, just inspiring all of us because we're all thinking, you know, what do we do in a situation like this? You get angry, you know, all the emotionals are human. And his face seemed like it just grew, you know, and I'm like, you know, his response to tragedy was what I feel like is the most essential response that we must have, which he worshiped the Lord. And the Lord says, David said it, Psalms 34, he is close to the brokenhearted.
Yes. Yes.
He is close to the brokenhearted and those crushed in spirit. And the Lord shows up in his presence. And that was, it was all, I mean, it was
What a
like,
testimony.
you know what? This is what we need in this
But you
moment.
know, the catastrophe happens for many of us. Those things are going to happen in our lives, whether they are simple little things that, you know, hiccups in the road, or whether they're the tragedy and the catastrophe like what we're talking about with Guatemala. But what made him able to worship right away, besides a supernatural touch, was the foundation that he already had.
Exactly.
He was a worship leader. He'd been faithful for probably 17 of his 18 years. He was probably growing in his faith. And so I think, to me, that's what speaks to me. The lesson that I hear from you, Jonathan and Alicia, is to grow in our faith, hide God's word in our heart, practice our faith, worshiping God, and then when it comes, not if it comes, but when it comes, we'll have that kind of godly response.
That's right.
But how unusual for that to happen.
Yeah, and after Alberto, we found his family, we worshiped, and I mean, we had a long line of people that were like, could you help me over here, and can you help me over there? And we were, you know, I was just sending I ended up running 3 backhoes.
Wow.
And we were there for 5 days just
But you got
helping
everybody
people.
out?
I mean,
You helped as many as you
As
could.
we
many
helped
you
as many as
could.
we could, because then the government came and said,
Everybody
no more.
leave.
You're
It's
done.
not safe, or,
Yep.
you know.
So then we went and attended funeral services, and I mean, we built these relationships with these people.
Well, that's your new area of ministry, right? You're just up the hill from this village.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have they rebuilt any of the village yet, or is it too soon?
They won't.
So
They won't?
be able to there, but the Lord, with God's help and sponsors and people that have helped us, we bought a piece of property, and
You
we're
did.
planning on
Who is we?
Our ministry.
our ministry,
Okay.
Impact Nations.
Impact Nations
Yeah.
bought a place for these people to rebuild their
Yes,
lives?
and we have
Right.
partners and people
Okay.
out there and
That's
that are
wonderful.
joining with us.
That's
and
wonderful.
And we're planning on building some homes.
Good.
So that's what we're going to be doing. Actually, we have a goal. By Christmas, we're hoping to build Alberto a home and 10 other families a home. And Merry Christmas, you know.
Right.
And so
You've been a missionary with Jonathan all the years that you've been married, obviously,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, before that, you were not Where were you from?
I'm originally from Minnesota, but my family went on a mission trip when I was 10.
Okay.
And the missionary family we worked with was his family.
Okay, so
I met her when I was
we
12.
met.
So you've
I was
known each
12.
other for a long, long
Forever.
time. But you're from where originally?
Orlando.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
No, you were not from
His
Orlando.
parents are Puerto Rican.
Right,
but he's
Puerto
from
Rican.
Orlando.
Okay,
Yes.
but you're Puerto Rican.
Yes.
Okay,
You know,
but
my dad was founder pastor of El Calvario.
El Calvario,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I know.
So,
That's why you're up on the
beautiful.
wall there, because you're a missionary. And yeah, there's such a great story. What's the name of the book so I can refer?
Oh, yes.
that
Yeah,
to
Beyond
our
the
readers?
Pain.
So my first book is Beyond the Pain.
Yes, Beyond the Pain.
And that's a book where I tell the story of my tragedy and my story.
Right.
And then the second book I wrote was Letting Go.
Okay.
And I'll probably never write another book unless the Lord.
Yeah, makes you.
Yeah,
Makes you write it.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work with 5 kids and missionary work in Guatemala. And,
Yes.
and so was it hard for you, Alicia, it wasn't, because you were brought up with that foundation, with that wanting to go in the mission field and having a missionary
It's actually
focus.
really, really crazy. I feel like God, it was such a destined thing for us to be married. And I know, God implanted the missions heart in me as a kid. And then at 13, my family moved to Guatemala. So I lived there for 4 years before we got married. And then, so I already had that kind of mission spirit in us. And so getting married, we always knew we would do missions. We just didn't know it would be so soon in our marriage. We were 2.5 years married, or 3 years, and or 2 years, and then we started thinking about it, something like that. So it was really.
So it's not like there was
fast.
a real strong call at one time to just go to the mission field. It was almost like a gradual, this is who I am, Alicia, and this is who I am, Jonathan, because it's sort of because of your heritage, who your parents were and how they raised you, and just thinking about your kids now and what they will end up doing and being. Can you imagine them not being missionaries one day? Your 5 kids, right?
Yeah.
Doing something crazy.
Are you
for God.
bilingual?
I am.
You are. You started because of when you moved there.
So
at
when
13?
I moved there, I knew nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're
And we
obviously.
grew up, so we were best friends growing up. Friends, just friends.
When did you
And
start
then-
dating?
And then we went to school and didn't see each other for some
We were,
years. and
18. I was like 18 or 19.
when I saw her again, I was.
She's
"Grow
the
up.
one. Yeah,
Grow up.
she's the one.
This is it.
It's like, finally, I'm not like the
Look
little
no
sister
more.
anymore. Yeah.
What can you say to our viewers today? And this is, I want to be sure our viewers know that we're getting ready to bring the children on in just a couple of minutes. So I want you to be sure to stay tuned, because you're going to see the product of this incredible couple. But what would you say to our viewers today about going and serving and answering that call?
Well, I think when there's a need, we have to respond.
Yeah.
And sometimes we over spiritualize a calling, and
And it might just be the person next door. Right.
And I think we really have to respond as Christians to our duty. Our Christian duty is to say, somebody lost their house, and I'm living in this mansion, and I have all this excess and abundance, and for $3,000 I can build a house. And
That's what it costs in Guatemala to build a house.
to build a house, $3,000. And so I think so many times we over spiritualize. I have to be called, and I have to hear this audible voice. But really, I think you read in the Word, and we ought to just respond to the needs of this world. And there's so many needs. We have to just do something.
And it might be a meal, right? It might
Absolutely.
be visiting an elderly person.
Yep.
It could be so part of what our lives are. You guys never felt like you answered a call, because it was just a natural
Part of-
process of who you were.
Absolutely.
And that's the way that we should be rearing our children and helping them see that the natural thing to do is to respond when there's a crisis or catastrophe, or just even a simple need is to respond.
Yeah.
That's
Are
right.
your kids excited to be on the mission field? Do they love it? Do they ever want to come back to the United States?
They love it.
They love it. That's their lives.
They just love meeting people and traveling, and every moment is an adventure, and so they just.
Do they all get
absolutely-
along well together?
They're kids.
Are they
so-
normal?
Yeah,
They're normal
children.
Oh,
so we
shoot.
have our
I thought-
moments.
moments.
Okay.
But I feel like they do, in the end, they love each other, and they do get along for the most part, but we always have those moments of none.
Yeah, and we have Ferrant Adventures is what we call it.
That's cute.
And
That's
so, that's our website, Ferrant Adventures.
Oh, it is?
Yep,
Okay.
ferrantadventures.com. And
So we're always kind of on an adventure. Everything we do, we're like, you know what? We're on an adventure. And
Coming here today was an adventure, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And anything we do, even when we're doing ministry or it's something a little intense that maybe isn't kid friendly, I always tell them, listen, we're here to be present with these people. We're here to make a difference. God asks us to, just to love on people. And we work hard, but we play harder.
And we wanted them to be on because the reality is that everything we do
is a family.
It's 7 of us.
Right.
It's not just
It's
us.
not me and him.
I mean, our kids help her with the wigs.
Yeah.
When we're drowning, they work. And over there, my kids helped me at Ground Zero as we were trying to find people. My older ones.
Right.
And
how about we bring on these little miracles? What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's
That
bring them
sounds
on. All right, we'll be right back. We've got some miracles coming up. As soon as you see us again, we're going to have 5 precious little Farrant children up here, adventurers. Stay with us.
I crown you Lord of all. Melodies of love, melodies of love, arise.
Go, make a difference.
Here they are. I told you were in for a big blessing, everyone. It is the Farrant family with their 5 beautiful children. I think this is all you have. Is that right, Alicia?
Yes.
Or there's some others somewhere around?
This is
it? Okay.
we're keeping them.
Who wants to introduce? You introduce the boys and let Alicia introduce the girls.
Okay, so Peter Mark is 14, and he's our life of the party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good-looking
And-
boy.
Yep, and Jethro is 6. And he is compassion. He loves people.
Oh.
And Jonathan is 3, and he's our comedian.
Where'd you get the name Jonathan? Where'd that come from? Is that like your daddy? Are you just like your daddy?
And he's just naturally funny.
Yes.
All right, this kid right here is just hilarious. So,
And we have Sophia, who is our sweet, full of grace child.
Aw.
And she is 12.
Okay.
And then Aaliyah is so sweet, and she is also full of compassion and loves helping people, and she is 9.
That is amazing. What a beautiful, beautiful family that you have.
Thank
Do you guys
you.
like living on the mission field? Is it fun?
Yes.
Being missionaries?
yes, and we have this slogan in our family, no greater love.
Than-
Oh, we take it off of John
Right.
15:13.
Yes.
Honestly. So this is like our team shirt.
Love it.
So
Love it.
the kids wanted you to be part of our team.
Go give it
Oh.
So
Go walk it over and say,
brought you a
here.
t-shirt.
JT, thank you so much.
You're
No
welcome.
greater
Now you can
love.
represent.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the residence that
love
we're
it.
building for the Guatemalan survivors.
yes.
It's called No Greater Love Residence.
Thank you so much. I love my t-shirt. I'll wear it today. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
You guys, Jonathan and Alicia and all you beautiful, beautiful children, thank you so much for being here today and for
Thank
all that
you.
you're doing on the mission field and wherever that mission field is. And when you're home, you're at Calvario City Church, right?
That's
Your home
that's-
church?
Yes.
Yes. Home church, that and Church in the Sun.
Yes.
Did
and
you
churches.
know that Calvario is now a preaching partner of ours, Dr. Gabriel Calvero and
Oh.
Nino? They're part of our
Anointed,
preaching.
they are
That's
great.
awesome.
They
Oh,
are
God,
fantastic, and we love them. So
Yes,
again,
powerful.
thank you for the work that you're
Thank
doing with
you.
Wigs of
Thank
Hope,
you.
as well as what you're doing in Guatemala and all over the country, I know.
Yes.
So you
Thank
guys are
you.
part of that. God bless you. Continue to do a great job. I'm going to let you say goodbye to everybody. That camera right there. Say goodbye to everybody, and God bless you. And thank you, viewers, for for being here with us today. I know that you got a blessing. I got a blessing, a spiritual blessing, and I also got a cool t-shirt too. Stay with us. We have more coming up.
Go make a difference.